It is December 1846. The Sierra Nevada mountains. Snow 12 feet deep has sealed off every road out. Everyone knows this story ends with cannibalism. That part is true.
But here's what the textbooks never mention.
The only people who were actually murdered for food weren't members of the Donner Party at all. They were two men who tried to save them. To understand what really happened at Truckee Lake, we need to go back
To a warm spring morning in Illinois, 9 months earlier.
In April 1846, 89 people left Springfield, Illinois, chasing a promise.
free land, fertile soil, a new life in California.
Brothers George and Jacob Donner led the way, along with businessman James Reed and dozens of families who joined the trail.
They had oxen, wagons, servants, children.
Everything they needed plied, except one thing:
Time.
At Fort Bridger, Wyoming, they made the decision that would define the rest of their lives.
A land promoter named Lansford Hastings claimed he knew a shortcut.
A trail that would save them weeks.
Everything seemed under control.
Until that shortcut cost them exactly what it promised to save. The Hastings cutoff was not shorter. It was a trap disguised as a shortcut. Brutal desert crossings, tangled canyons that swallowed entire days. By the time the party reached the Sierra Nevada, autumn had already turned cold.
In October, a small dispute over a tangled wagon ended in bloodshed. James Reed killed a teamster named John Snyder in a knife fight. The party didn't call it murder. They called it justice, and banished Reed alone into the wilderness. Picture the scene. It is late October. The wind carries the first hard frost of the season. The group that exiled Reed has no idea what's coming. Within days, the mountain pass ahead will close behind them like a door. They pushed on toward Truckee Lake, unaware the snow was already waiting. But here is where the story takes a darker turn. The snow came early, and it came hard, 12 feet in places. The party was trapped, cabins buried, supplies gone within weeks. What followed is the part every documentary repeats, in bold: the slaughtered oxen, the boiled hides, the starvation that pushed survivors to eat their dead. Ask yourself this: if they turned on each other, why did investigators find almost no evidence of murder? The truth is quieter and stranger. The people at Truckee Lake mostly ate those who had already died of cold and hunger. Grim, yes, but not the savage free-for-all pop culture remembers. Stay with me, because the one true act of violence involved two men history barely remembers. In mid-December, 17 of the strongest survivors set out on foot for help. They called themselves the Forlorn Hope. Among them were two Native American guides, Lot, Luis, and Salvador, sent by Sutter's Fort to help lead the group to safety. For over a month, the Forlorn Hope starved in the open mountains. And in their delirium, starvation didn't just take their strength.
It took their judgment.
The world was told the Donner Party's darkest crime was cannibalism among desperate families. The reality was something the history books rarely say out loud. The two men who came to rescue them were shot by the very people they were trying to save. For over a century, this detail sat quietly in academic footnotes. Not because it was forgotten by accident, because it complicated a story, and people preferred to tell simply. This is not just a 19th century tragedy. Look at how disaster stories get simplified today. A single dramatic image standing in for a far messier truth. The Donner Party has become shorthand for one thing: cannibalism. But the real story is about desperate decisions. A fatal shortcut sold by a man who'd never actually traveled it. And how easily the most uncomfortable details get left out of the version that survives. Most people will only ever know the punchline.
Now you know the part they left out.
A shortcut promised to save them time. It cost them almost everything instead. If a story like this deserves to be told in full bling, help us find the next one. Next time on Shadow Chronicles, we go back further, into a case where an entire town vanished, and no one has ever explained why.
I miss you every day.